Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of Lyric Study. Today we're going to be studying the lyrics of Alright, first we're going to look at this part of the sentence. We've got two words here, 가지다 and 것. 것 means thing and 가지다 means to have. As you can see, 가지다 has been turned into 가진. This is part of a grammar construction that turns a verb into a noun modifier. For present tense conjugation, it's as simple as adding 는 to the verb stem. If you're dealing with the past tense though, you have to choose between 니은 and 은. It depends on whether the verb stem ends with a consonant or a vowel. The same rule applies to the future tense. Now the noun that's being described follows the verb. This means you can change 것 to anything you like. 가진 is 가지다 conjugated in the past tense, and if you combine it with 것, you get, literally, the things that we had. Now, a more natural translation would be what we had. Note that the pronoun is absent, so we is merely implied through context. Now, the second part of the sentence. We're going to ignore the 네 ending for now, so that's 꿈밖에 없었다. 밖 means outside, so literally this is outside of dream, there was nothing. It's a common way of saying only, for example. 여기 저밖에 없어요. There's no one here but me. 저는 10,000원밖에 없어요. I only have 10,000 won. So back to the lyrics. If you combine it with 가진 게, you get. Now the missing puzzle piece, 네. 네 is actually a sentence ending used for exclamation. It's usually used to indicate surprise and wonder, but it's not always so dramatic. In this case especially, it's really subtle. It's kind of like when you look back at your past and you realize something that you haven't before and you go, oh wow, now that I think about it, it was really kind of tough. 뿌연 is originally 뿌옇다, meaning pale, misty, or foggy. By adding 니은 into it, it can then be used to describe or modify a noun, which in this case is 아침. You can do this with virtually any adjectives. The reason why 뿌옇다 gets turned into 뿌연 and not 뿌여흔, I mean, why not? It ends with a consonant, right? It's one of those irregular occurrences with adjectives or verbs ending with hiệt. When they're combined with endings that start with a vowel, hiệt disappears. See, now that hiệt has disappeared, it has essentially turned into a word that ends with a vowel, ya, which means you have to use 니은 and not 은. The end result, 뿌연. So back to the lyrics. 분 means only and 으면 means if or when, and in some contexts, whenever. So in this case, if you combine all of that, you get This is pretty easy. 으며 is like 으면서, so it means while and it's used to indicate two simultaneous actions. So here, what's happening with 끝이 없다 is similar to the construction that we learned earlier with 가진 게, that lets you turn verbs or adjectives into noun modifiers. 던 is also a past tense modifier, so the literal translation would be the music schools that had no end. So what's the difference between 던 and the past tense modifier that we learned earlier, 니은 은? First of all, 니은 은 cannot be applied to adjectives, which is what 없다 is. So 없음 is a construction that does not exist. So for the sake of illustration, we're going to be using verbs as examples. Now, 던 is called a recollection modifier because it implies, well, recollection. It suggests a direct participation on the speaker's part, meaning the event or action being described as something that they have experienced firsthand, and they're remembering it as they speak. Now here, in the first example, the verb work is conjugated in the past tense but in a generic sense, whereas in the second example, it's based on a personal memory the speaker has of the past event that is them working at a company for 10 years. Now, what if you remove the past tense marker, leaving just ton? It takes on either of these two meanings. One, it implies that the action was incomplete or unfinished. For example, 아까 제가 먹던 사과가 어디 있어요? Where's the apple I was eating? This implies that you never finished the apple, like it's literally half eaten. 2. It indicates a past action or an event that occurred repeatedly throughout a period of time in the past. In English, this is often translated to used to. 우리 옛날 자주 갔던 식당이에요. It's a restaurant that we used to go to often. So basically, it's trying to say that this situation has continued for a certain period of time. As in, for some time, they had to deal with endless music scores, which probably refers to the music training. And 악보 can also mean bad news, so it also hints at the rejections that they've experienced at the start. Grammatically, this is pretty simple. 호기롭다 means to be bold and without restraint and sometimes ambitious. It's got a little bit of bravado to it. It's an adjective, so adding ke to it turns it into an adverb, which is then used to describe the verb shout, to describe the manner of shouting. Now, in English, you do that by adding ly to adjectives. 던져봐, on the other hand, is made up of two things. The verb 던지다, which means to throw, and the 보다 construction, which means to try and do something. So the translation would be, so much pain, too much crime. So there's actually something happening with 무뎌지다 here. It's originally 무디다, which means dull, an adjective. So adding 아오여지다 turns it into a verb with the meaning of to become duller. So it indicates a state of gradual change. We were only 7, but we have you all. Here you can see the same noun modifier that we talked about at the start of the video again in past tense. It describes the noun 손끝, meaning fingertips. Now, the translation. This is a pretty simple sentence. 겁 means fear, so 겁이 없다 means to have no fear. So the translation would be, in these two lines, we see the 아오여도 construction. It means even if, even though, or no matter. So basically, they're saying, even if winter comes again, no matter who tries to stop me, I will keep walking forward. 걸어가다 actually means to walk to, but in this case, the destination is, well, unclear. So we can only infer from the context that they're hinting at some sort of finish line, a place that they want to get to, or just, forward. And that's it. Let me know in the comments below if you'd like to see a part 2, and thank you for watching. 안녕히 계세요.